Today, for the first episode of the Measure of Maps, we're looking at an old map from the era of probably the French and Indian Wars, definitely like 1700s. And these would have been colonies at this time. This would have been the British occupied territory. Then you had Spanish here in Florida. This was more as Native Americans. It was sort of the in-between land, and then out here was the French, which would eventually become the Louisiana Purchase. But these you can see here where you see Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland's in there, New York, New Jersey. Delaware, at this stage, I'm not sure that that was even its own colony yet, because that's actually an offshoot of Pennsylvania. Part of the thing with the Mason-Dixon lines, they defined the lines, and Delaware was like the three southern counties of Pennsylvania and broke off and became its own colony then. But this, you see the Allegheny Mountains, now Appalachian Mountains, but England did not want its colonists going beyond that just because they didn't want a war started. But both the French, the French would want to go as far east as they possibly could, and the Britain would have wanted to go as far west. It was sort of a very undefined line here of whose territory was where. And it was, a lot of it had to do with the fur trading that would have went on all throughout here, which was basically the gold mine of that time period. They went to the New World thinking this is going to be gold and silver and all these other things, and ultimately the gold and silver and treasure of that time period turned out to be the crops that were in here that they introduced, the cotton and tobacco, which grew very well from Virginia down through into South Carolina, Georgia. The fur trade all throughout. In New England, you would have the lumber industry, especially the big lumber that they needed from virgin forests for the ships, because a lot of stuff was very important for the British Navy. And of course, then the cod industry that happened up here in New England. And when they learned to salt it, it was a big thing for just the communities in general to have something that lasted that long, but also for the Navy because they had something that would not spoil. But you would see on some old maps, you'll see the lines are sort of undefined and keep on going west on each of these colonies, but they just sort of didn't know where the land was at that stage of where it went, or even the size. As you can see with Florida, is just old maps. They're not necessarily that precise. But this is just a cool map to see it from that time period and to show you guys a couple different things with it. History is out there, my friends.